Okay, welcome to episode 4 of the Angus Chang podcast. What did I do this week? Man, I gotta, I gotta get more busy. I didn't do anything this week. What happened this week? I guess it rained a lot. I went to the office. I think I went to the office quite a lot. Um, what was I working on? Not too sure, but yeah, Monday last week. Went to the office, did some stuff, maybe wedding prep. Like I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. But then afterwards I went home and I watched like this Milli Vanilli documentary that came out a few years ago. That was pretty interesting because before that like the only thing I knew about them was they lip synced and they were frauds. I didn't really know the full story. Um, they seem like I don't know. I guess they were treated very badly by they basically were treated like the villains in that story. I remember in like 98 or 99 I was reading Mad magazine as a kid, and when you read like especially when you're like 10, reading Mad magazine, like you don't get a lot of the jokes, but then you realize there's something there. Like I still remember there was a joke that went something like, um oh, you think this is bad, but somewhere out there, Milli Vanilli and Vanilla Ice are preparing a comeback. And I was 10. I was like, I don't know who Vanilla Ice is. I don't know who Milli Vanilli are. But I guess they're some kind of topic of ridicule because Mad Magazine's talking about them. I guess I learned a lot about like American and pop culture from Mad Magazine. I used to read it all the time. It was quite cool, but not super funny, but pretty funny. And I like the illustrations. It's like quite a cool idea. I think it's still running. Might be fun to go back and try find those Mad magazines I read back in like 98, 99, 2000, whenever it was. Um, I remember we had the Star Wars edition of Mad magazine, and I think it was because Star Wars was being remastered, so they decided to do a Star Wars edition of Mad. But I would read like the comics and the jokes and stuff, and I was like, oh, I basically figured out that I had never seen Star Wars, and I figured out that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. So like, I was spoiled by Mad Magazine, which was kind of annoying. And then I said to my mom, "Hey, mom, is Darth Vader Luke Skywalker's dad?" And she said, "No, no, I don't think so." So she was like, I don't know, trying to unspoiler it for me, but it's too late. You see the joke like 20 times, and you just figure it out. Yeah, that's cool. That might be a cool idea. Try read old Mad magazines. Read old Mad magazines. Got a haircut on Saturday, but that's Saturday. We're still talking about the other week. Oh yeah, Tuesday. So Jonathan Blow's new game, The Order of the Sinking Star, came out. I think it came out on Monday 1 a.m. So Tuesday 1 a.m. Hong Kong time. So I played it Tuesday morning. It's a good game. Uh, it has like an overworld and then like puzzle world. So you like navigate through the overworld to like choose which puzzle you want to solve, kind of like in Mario 64. Except the overworld puzzles are like a little bit tricky. So I missed a lot of the mirror land the first time I played it. So I played like the mirror land, then I played the hauling area, which I enjoyed, and then I played the promise or whatever. I didn't really like the promise zone, so I played maybe a third of it, and I just stopped playing the game. But then I was watching videos on YouTube, and I realized there was more to the mirror land that I'd missed because I basically failed the puzzle in the overworld. So I went back and played that, and I think I finished the mirror puzzles yesterday. They're very fun. Um, and then I showed my mom the game, which was really funny because the first two when you I just gave her the game from the start, and um, the first few levels you're just walking around, walking from start to exit, and There's like a bit of storyline going on. But it was very funny watching my mom play it because he just walked into walls and her movements were incredibly unfluid. Like, I don't know. Gaming's like, it's interesting to see, like, as a gamer, like, you put me in front of that game and I can get through the puzzles pretty quickly. But for my mom, it's like even hard to just walk from the start to the end because she's like, she, she looks at the keyboard, then she looks at the screen, then back to the keyboard, then back to the screen. So she like doesn't even know what happened since she pressed the button. So yeah, she did solve like a lot of the puzzles, but like I think some of them took me like maybe 20 seconds to play, and it took her like 20 minutes. So it was quite frustrating. But good on her. She seemed to like the game, which is cool. Yeah, so that was. I guess I did some work. I don't know. I should be like I should. I'm reading like my notes from the week, but they're not very precise. I should take better notes, and then I'll have a better podcast. Or maybe not. Maybe the podcast is still gonna be really boring. Wednesday, I was hosting the open mic at Not Too Sweet. That went pretty well. So they were filming again. What's her name? Riri and Richard were filming, and we had like a 60% full audience, maybe. Yeah, about 60%. And so to get better footage, Richard was like, let's move everyone to the corner. Then the corner looks really full, and we'll just film the corner, and it looked like a really busy night. So that's what I did. I asked everyone to move to the corner. Then I did the comedy hosting. That was cool. I did maybe 3 or 4 jokes at the top, and it was going pretty well. So then I just introed people. And the week before, Richard told me like it ran too long, so I was basically I was very strict with the time, and I also didn't do many jokes in between, and basically everyone did pretty well, so I didn't really need to do much jokes in between. But anyway, afterwards, so the show went pretty quick, which is good. I guess it's like for Richard, he kind of wants a show, obviously, because that's like an attraction for the bar, but he doesn't want it to drag too long, because if it drags too long, then the audience doesn't stick around afterwards and buy drinks. So he like wants to sell before the show, sell during the show, which is a little bit difficult because people are like basically sitting down, and then sell after the show. So like if you run the show too long, you kind of lose money. It's a bit counterintuitive. Like if you start at 8:30 and finish at 9:30, that's a 1 hour show. You make more money than if you start at 8:30 and finish at 10:30, because the showtime people don't really buy that many drinks, and then look, I think it's a pretty simple concept. I don't need to explain this very much, but yeah, basically that's kind of the goal. And then afterwards, like I was talking to some of the audience, and they were like, "Oh, are you a comedian? You should try doing comedy." I was like, "Yeah, I am a comedian." They're like, "Oh, why don't you do more jokes?" So I don't know. Maybe I did too little on Wednesday, but to be honest, I don't know. As long as the show moves along and people are still paying attention, I think that's a good job from the host. It can be a bit of a shame hosting sometimes because you don't really get to like test new material, or even sometimes you don't get too much out of it. Like the only thing you really learned is how to host better. It's good for crowd work and riffing, but not so good for building material, I think. Thursday, what did I do? I don't know. I think I went over to my parents' house and had dinner there or something. Can't remember. Friday, did I go to the office? I probably did. And there was a comedy show, so I was on. There were 2 shows on Friday. So Friday was a public holiday, and it was Dragon Boat Festival. So there was a show by Tambi on from 7 to 9, and then Asif was doing a show from 9 to like 10:30 or whatever. 9 to 11. Classic Asif, always doing shows between 9 and 11. that was when I got to the 7 show, there weren't too many people. I was like, oh, this show might not be very good. There were about like 10 or 12 in the audience. But then as the show, like I was last or second last. I think I was second last. And then as the show went on, we actually had some walk-ins, which was kind of cool. I think 4 to 6 people walked in and bought tickets, which is, makes a difference. Like 12 to 18 makes a big difference. And then by the time I was on stage, it was like pretty good audience and they're pretty warmed up. I went after Brian Bentley, which is always good. Mr. High Energy Brian Bentley. And I think my set went pretty well. And then after me was a visiting comic, Ashwin or Ashvin, I can't remember. And after that was Stuart Palm. Then we hung around and watched the next show. And Asif asked me and some others to go sit at the back to like fill out the room. And he also said, you can heckle if you want. I wasn't sure if he was serious, but I was heckling a little bit, which is probably really annoying, so I shouldn't do that. I was also sitting so Asif was filming, and I was sitting right behind the camera, so like, that's that's dangerous. Like, basically, you can't talk shit if you're sitting behind a camera that's filming. Like, not that I talk a huge amount of shit while people are doing comedy, but definitely don't want to be talking shit next to a recording camera. It does happen. It happened to me quite a few times. Like I set up a camera, or someone set up a camera, and I get a video of it, and then I'm watching my set, and then I can hear people talking about me during my set. So it's pretty funny. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah. After that, I went home, went to sleep, and then Saturday I went hiking. I went to Tongcheng, and I hiked to Moi Wa, and I went back, had dinner with my parents at home. Sunday I was hanging out with my girlfriend. I was at her parents' house. We were scanning photos for like a wedding photo shoot. No, not a photo shoot, a wedding slideshow. So a slideshow that's going to play at the wedding. And then after that, I went home to my parents' house to scan some photos using my iPhone. I was using the Notes app scanning function, which is pretty good, except the photos came a bit washed out. So I think it's really for documents. I was looking for something to scan old photos, but everyone said use the Notes app, but it just didn't come out super nice. It came out okay. I'm looking at the photos now because they're in the Notes app. Like, yeah, and also like a lot of the photos are a bit irregular, so then yeah, I don't know. It does all this stuff to try like rotate it and skew it so that it scans like aligned, but then if the photos are a bit bent or whatever, it just skews incorrectly, and then you get these really messed up photos. But whatever, that's okay. Oh, it's weird, it's going sideways. Anyway, then after scanning photos, I went to have dinner with my girlfriend's parents and her brother and his girlfriend or partner, whatever you want to call it. And then I went home and I played some more of the Sinking Star, finished the mirror levels, and I did some of these hauling levels with the monsters. And then for some reason I decided I wanted to watch Glengarry Glen Ross. That is really a good movie. I watched it like about 20 years ago. I had a friend who just downloaded weird movies and we would just watch them at his house. I think him and we went to uni together in Bathurst, which is like 300 kilometers from Sydney. And then on Fridays or Thursdays, we would drive from Bathurst back to Sydney. And then sometimes we would just go hang out in his house in Sydney, even though we can hang out in his house in Bathurst. Anyway, we hung out in his house in Sydney and we just watched these old movies. And, one of them was The Jerk with Steve Martin. I used to think that movie was so funny. It's still pretty funny, but maybe a little bit too silly. But it is funny in places. And Glenn Ross was another one. Yeah, we used to just stay up late to 4 a.m. watching movies, and then would wake up late, and would wake up and watch movies. And then and then that was the end of the day. It's such a stupid way to spend the day. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. Wow, this is a really shitty week. Is it that I did nothing or I took bad notes? I think it's actually that I really didn't do much this week, so it's kind of a bummer. This next week should be pretty busy because I got lots of wedding preparation to do, and then I have friends visiting from Sydney and other places, so we're gonna hang out and do stuff. And there's lots of wedding stuff to talk about as well. So weddings on Friday. For that, I have to I go to my girlfriend's house and I have to give some money in a red packet to open the door, which is kind of funny. And then we're doing a tea ceremony there, and then afterwards we're gonna go back to the hotel or something and do a photo shoot at the hotel or near the hotel. Then we're doing a signing ceremony at 5 p.m. and then uh, 6 to 8 there's mingling or whatever, or maybe I don't know if we're even there for that. And then 8 there's that's when the wedding stuff starts. It's when the dinner starts, and then there's speeches and presentations and slideshows. I have to write a speech for that. I haven't written it yet, but I guess I'm not going to speak for too long, maybe just 5 minutes. I don't think that would be too hard to do. And then, yeah, I guess more hanging out with my friends. Oh, Wednesday night, we're going to the horse races with me and a group of friends. That should be fun. Thursday, we're going to Llama Island. That should be cool. And yeah, that's basically the coming up week. So pretty lame episode of the Angus Cheng podcast, but hopefully next week will be less lame. See you next week, and see you every week.